Welcome back, guys. It's Trop again, and I want to make a video in regards to Shadowshaper Duels. I have some gameplay footage to showcase for this game mode, and you'll see kind of the deck I'm using. If you need a deck list, I can show you in the comments. I can put it down later. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'm just running a bunch of good cards. And yeah, I wanted to talk about the Shadowshaper Duel game mode. You'll get to see typically how quick these games are, and how much battle pass experience you can get from them, and especially how many mythics you can get from winning in them. So if you're in here like trying to farm mythics, then you definitely want to take a part of Shadowshaper Duels so that you can get the right mythics that you need for your build, and in order to make that power go higher. So just make sure to be able to use that. It should not be too bad. You'll see over like some plays we make, some cards we use if you want to ask questions. Go ahead, let me know some thoughts. But the gameplay is pretty self-explanatory. A majority of my deck, except for 3 cards, are fallen category, so they're fallen type, because I have a little bit of synergy with fallen type. I have the fallen servitor at 5 cost that does 1 damage to an enemy for every fallen you have. So if they put some big boys up there, they're going to be taken out by that. I have Wolf, which I don't know if I use too much in today's footage. Usually I use it a lot though. Like I think I win like 95% of my games in this game mode. I have about a 95% win rate. Wolf is a really good card that you just get from doing shifting gates. You might only have to play shifting gates once or twice, and then you can buy the Wolf card. Very good effect. So I would definitely grab that. Other than that, I would say, other than the Wolf card, there are some cards that were in the shop this week or previous weeks. Like, unfortunately, as of when this video will come out, there is a really good 1-drop that I'm using in my deck that will be out of the shop, or will have been out of the shop actually for a while now. But it's the 1/1s that buff the fallen dregs, and then you use that with the 2/3 shank that summons 2 of those on each side, and you get a nice buff with that combo. So it's very nice. Otherwise, I'm using just some solid stat of minions like the 1/3 Marauder. It's just good stats, and I try to have either solid stats or damage. The 3/4 that does 3 damage, that is a very solid card. I think you get that by default after you've just battled Wooming a few times. Grenade Drag I recently put in my deck. It's a 3/7, and if you play it in the back row, it does 2 damage for 2 turns whenever they play in the back row, so it inconveniences them. If they play the 4/2 Walker that does like 4 random damage per turn, it completely stops them from playing that until about like turn 6, at which point it's not that good if they choose to play it there. It's basically just a pretty bad minion. Because I feel like recently, this whole like week, I've only had like a few losses, like 2 losses, and one will come like in this video. And you'll see sometimes when I get like bad draws and stuff, those walkers like get to me with like the value they have and stuff. But usually that comes down to like my bad draws, like a mixture of that card being good and my draw sometimes being bad. But if you draw the 3/7 Vandal, then you can stop them from even playing that card. But in order to get this card, you have to be level 5, and you have to speak to Dolma, which is in Jingxi Metro. Otherwise, the cards I'm using, pretty standard. The 6-drop human is just high stats. The 5/7 that buffs one of my characters, I think you also get that pretty easily, like you battle someone in Haven for it. And people will always play minions on their back row, so that buff will always come into effect. My 2-drop, you can like choose different 2-drops that you want to play. I think the 2-drop I have is decent, but it could be a little bit better. Like I have the 2/4 that hits enemies if they get buffed by anything. That does come in handy sometimes. It's just a high statted 2-cost minion, and even if they proc once, it has the value of a 2/5. So they're not bad. I've seen people playing the 2/3 that gets +3 when something is played in the front row, so the 2/6. And I think that's decent. The only thing is, if you're going first, the only thing that I would really play in the front row is either the 2/3 shank if I get it, which I only run one copy of those, or what do you call it? Just if I'm running out of space in the back row, I might play something there. So that's one big issue, is that if you're playing it on curve, those 2-drops usually won't get their bonuses. You can maybe play 2 of them on turn 4 for the buff, but usually you need to hold back on them a little bit longer to get the bonuses from them, and I prefer to have cards that I can play on curve. It makes things simpler. I usually win a lot because of it, so I don't focus too much on mechanics. Like you'll see people play that card that when you fill up your lane it gets stronger and stuff like that. I don't believe cards like that are very good, because like, one, they can get sniped but before they ever take effect, or they can get like I don't know, they can just have their effect tampered with or stop doing it, and then they just end up as 2/1s. So I am not a high fan of those. I see like a lot of people run those cards, and they usually don't win against me with those cards. But yeah, that's what I would say is yeah, essentially I think I've covered every card in my deck. I've covered the 1-drops, I've covered the 2-drops, usually just those 2/4s and the shank. The 3-drops, I run that grenade drag, and I run the 3/4s that do damage. I also run Wolf, who, if you have 5 or more characters, which this deck usually does unless you draw bad, then it takes out a character on the enemy team with 5 or more health. So that's a very strong 3-drop if you think about it. If it takes out like anything of note, it gets a lot of value. And then 4-drops, I don't run 4-drops because I don't have any good 4-drops currently that are worth running. 5-drops, yeah, I run 2 5-drops. I run one of the ones that can buff your ally, and then one of the ones that can deal damage to an enemy. Yeah, 6-drops, I just run the usual buff both sides. I find that's a pretty good 14 stat boost that is usually enough to win the game, especially if you're ahead. And he spreads out his stats, which is good. So yeah, so I'll say with that in mind, just enjoy the gameplay, and hope to see you on Shadowshaper Duels. Yeah, you'll see how many mythics I'm getting, even from winning 4 out of 5 games instead of 5. I still get a lot of mythics for it, so